Hi everyone, it's Don from Don's Family Vacation, and as summer approaches, it's time for cruising to Alaska. It's the most popular time of the year, of course, to go to Alaska because if you went in December, you would just freeze solid. So let's talk about the top 10 things that you need to know before heading on a cruise to Alaska, coming up next. Number one, be flexible. Be prepared to roll with the punches, if you will. The weather in Alaska can change on a dime. At 7 o'clock, it can be beautiful and sunny, and at 8 o'clock, it can be stormy, windy, and snowing. So just be prepared to roll. And I don't necessarily mean that as being on the ship or being prepared for rolling seas or things like that, because most of the time in Alaska, you're near the inside passage and you're under a protected cove. What I'm talking about is if you're planning a whale watching excursion or dog sledding or a helicopter up to the glaciers to land, anything along those lines, they can be canceled at a moment's notice because they're not going to put you at risk because of the weather in order to take you up to the glaciers. So just be prepared to roll with it. Things get canceled all the time. Just be flexible. I can't say much more than that. Number two, I don't know how many times I have to tell people this when I'm booking them an Alaskan cruise. Be prepared to be cold. People think, oh, but I'm going in July and I'm going in August, so it's going to be warm. On the best days, on a beautiful, sunny, warm day in Alaska, it's going to hit 70 degrees. And that's at 1 p.m. in the bright sunshine. And it's still going to dip way below that once the sun goes down. So just be prepared. Bring yourself some heavy clothes, bring yourself some rain gear, along with the odd t-shirt here and there. But be prepared for the cold weather. You're going up north to where Santa Claus lives. You're not going to Jamaica. If you're a nature nut like I am, then Alaska is perfect for you. You're going to see bald eagles, sea lions, walruses, bears, grizzlies, black bears. You're going to see all kinds of wildlife, the deer. You're going to see salmon spawning on rivers on some of the excursions, and most of all, you're going to see whales. They don't guarantee you're going to see whales, but I have yet to been on an Alaskan cruise that I haven't come across whales. They have one of the largest populations in the world of humpback whales because it's a perfect feeding ground up there, and all of Alaskan waters up there are all protected from fishing, other than the natives that are allowed to fish up there. Number two up there is you're going to see killer whales, because if you have humpback whales, you're probably going to see some killer whales up there. So be prepared. If you love nature, go on a whale watching tour because you're going to get closer up there than you can get almost anywhere else in the world. Number four, I'm a little claustrophobic, if you will. Don't like tight spaces. So when someone says to me, go and visit a cave, I think, Huckleberry Finn type cave where it's tight and confined and dark and dank, and if I get lost, I'm dead. So if you're thinking that, there's a place in Alaska called the Mendenhall Ice Cave, and it has nothing to do with any of that. It's bright, it's reflective, you see the sunlight through the water of the ice cave. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's almost like going to an ice hotel that you see in Quebec City and things like that, and up in Norway. But you're going to get some amazing pictures. It's not claustrophobic. It's pretty wide open under there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And if I'm recommending to go to a cave, you know it has to be worthwhile. Number five is for you thrill seekers out there, or if you just want to try something different. In Hoonah, Alaska, there is the longest zip line in the world. Now, if you've been to Jamaica and Mexico and places like that where you say, let's go zip lining, You're used to going ziplining where you'll go a couple hundred yards and then you'll go another 100 yards this way, or you'll go 100 feet this way and then back, and there's like 15 different stops along the way. Well, this is one stop. You're 1,300 and some feet in the air and you're heading straight down towards the cruise ship. It's over 1 mile in length and there's 6 lines side by side, so it's like you're racing your friends and your family, and it's a thrill beyond belief. You just feel like, oh my God, I'm falling to the earth. But it is a thrill rush. If you have a GoPro or a camera with you, you're going to get some amazing pictures up that high. And for me, I'm terrified of flying. I don't like heights. And this was a thrill for me to do, and I would do it over and over again. Number 6, I have to almost talk people into sometime. It's take a dog sled ride. A lot of people say, but no, because the dogs are abused and the dogs aren't well looked after and we're forcing them into manual labor like slaves. And I'm going, you don't know these dogs. These dogs love to run. They can't wait to start pulling the sleds. Take a look at this dog here. Does he look like he's mistreated? Does he look like he doesn't want to go on a run? And then you get onto the sled and look at this guy here. He's not moving, but he wants to go. Look at the anxiousness in those dogs. They can't wait to go. When they're running, their tails are going. And I've met tons of owners out there, and they love their animals, and those animals love them right back. They're not mistreated. I have never, ever yet seen a dog mistreated on a dog sled race. And I'm a dog lover, huge, and you don't want to abuse a dog anywhere near me because bad things will happen to you. And these dogs love what they do, so don't be afraid to enjoy going on a dog sled ride in Alaska. Number 7 is a little bit more about cruise ships now. I know a lot of people like to save a little bit of money because, they think to themselves, I'm going to take an inside stateroom because it's cheaper and I'm only there to sleep. The rest of the time I'm on the ship or I'm on excursions and I'm doing stuff like that. And that can be really true when you're talking about a Mexico or a Panama Canal or any ocean cruise to Barbados and things like that. But when you're talking Alaska, where Alaskan views are the main reason you're going on that cruise, you're going to want to be in a balcony. You're going to want sometimes the privacy of just being able to sit out there and watch the mountains go by. You don't want to be up on top with 300 or 400 people on the top decks trying to hold your camera up like this so you can get a good picture. If you have your own private balcony, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can have a nice cup of coffee or a glass of wine, sit down, relax, and let your camera roll to your heart's content. It's one of the few times that I will always recommend to people that a balcony in an Alaskan cruise is definitely worth it. Number 8 is choose the right cruise ship. Almost everybody out there has a cruise ship somewhere going to Alaska. Norwegian, you have Royal Caribbean, you have Disney, you have Princess, you have Holland America. There's a ton of guys that are having cruise ships touring Alaska. But each ship is a little bit different. Some of them don't have heated pools. So if you're planning on taking a swim, you might not want to take that cruise. Some of them have larger ships. Some of them have smaller ships. It all depends on what you're looking for. So talk to your travel agent. Let them know what you want to experience when you go to Alaska, and let them help you decide on a good ship that's made right for you. There are some cruise lines that have a lot more presence out there in Alaska than some others. For instance, Disney goes there with 1 ship. Princess Cruise Line goes there with 4 to 5 ships. They've been voted number 1 in Alaska for 8 years in a row because they own their own resorts up there. They have land and sea vacation combined. They own a railroad up there. So they're well established in Alaska. That doesn't mean they're right for you. It just means choose your ship carefully. Don't just assume all ships out there are going to be exactly the same. My number 9 tip would be to try and take a cruise from the same port, returning back to that port. So for instance, leaving Vancouver, heading into Alaska, and then returning back to Vancouver. Instead of a cruise, say from Seattle, into Alaska up to Anchorage, and then you have to fly out of Anchorage to return home. Let's say you're a Canadian citizen living in Ottawa, for example. Your flight would have to go from Ottawa to, say, Vancouver. Then you would take a trip from Vancouver up to Anchorage, and then to fly from Anchorage back to Ottawa, you would have to go from Anchorage to Seattle to Vancouver back to Ottawa. And those flights can just be complicated for no reason. So it's much easier if you're leaving from Seattle, get a cruise that returns to Seattle. If you're leaving from Vancouver, take a cruise that returns to Vancouver. It'll simplify everything, and it also guarantees you views out your balcony of the shoreline at least one part of your trip. Number 10 is, and it's surprising to a lot of people, but be prepared to pay more. A lot of people think, well, I'm an American citizen and I'm leaving to Alaska, which is also part of the USA. So why would prices be any different? But think about it for a minute. You're a small town of, say, 2,100 people. You have 5 cruise ships docking at your dock that more than gets 8 times more population for that day. They know they have you sort of, trapped in that little area. You're going to have to eat. They know you're going to have to take their restaurants. You want to take a tour, you have to take their tours. So there's not a lot of ways to get around it. You're going to have to pay the prices that they want to charge. So think the same as if you're going to a theme park. A hot dog at your local supermarket is going to cost a lot less than a hot dog at Disney World. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready to book. Add about 50% of what you think something should cost, and that'll probably be closer to what you will cost when you're up in Alaska. So there you go. Those are 10 tips that I have for Alaska, and I can't stress enough, Alaska is one of my favorite types of cruises. I love nature, and I don't mind the cold whatsoever because I'm Canadian. So if you've never done it, don't be afraid to do it, because I know people who try it will return over and over and over again. So Alaskan cruises can be a thrilling experience, especially if it's your first time. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more helpful tips for cruising or theme parks or traveling around the world, stand by and please hit the subscribe button, because we put out new videos every week, and we're going to travel all over the world this year, and I hope that you will join us.